From the studios of Blackwater Media in the city of Atlanta, it's Crypto Talk with your host, Dr. William Lester. And I want to introduce everyone to the first installment of this program. And I'd like to do so first by telling you about two of our sponsors. We begin with Stellium Books, a new vision for publishing. This is a full-service publishing company, and I want you to visit them online at stelliumbooks.com. Now let me spell that name, Stellium, stelliumbooks.com. Our other sponsor is Jill Carty at Awake Newport, and she has established an outstanding program of metaphysical counseling services. And these include the following: card readings, channel messages, past life regression, soul retrieval, house clearings, spiritual counseling, and more. Now, phone consultations are available, but you need to visit the website, which is awakenewport.com. Our first story comes to us from the Republic of Congo and involves a sighting of the legendary dinosaur-like monster, Mokele Mbembe. A man claiming to be a park ranger at Lake Tele says he spotted the dinosaur-like monster. The 45-year-old man, who disclosed his full name to the media but asked to remain anonymous, told reporters that he was on a boat looking for illegal fishermen when he and another person encountered the animal. A long neck went out of the water, he explained. It turned, looked at us, moved around, and then disappeared underwater. The man said that the creature was out of the water for about 5 minutes and that it had a black snake-like neck and red eyes. He did not provide further information regarding the physical features of the animal or the identity of the other person on the boat at the time of the purported sighting. The next story comes to us from deep in the archives, and it's entitled "Picture of Irish Sea Monster Surfaces in London Image Archive." An account of the sea monster's appearance was featured in a newspaper article in the Victorian publication The Day's Doings on October 21st, 1871. The paper reported that there had been some excitement in Kilkee at the appearance of the extraordinary marine visitor. It appeared before a party of strangers composed of several ladies and some gentlemen, one of whom was a well-known clergyman in the north of Ireland, when they went down to Diamond Rocks. They were watching the heavy groundswell from the Atlantic when their attention was arrested by the appearance of an extraordinary monster who rose from the surface of the water about 70 yards from where they were standing. The paper quotes that it had an enormous head shaped somewhat like a horse, while behind the head and neck was a huge mane of seaweed-looking hair which rose and fell with the motion of the water. It was called a truly gigantic creature. Further descriptions ensued. Its eyes were large and glaring, and by the appearance of the water behind, a vast body seemed to be beneath the waves. The party weren't able to judge its length, but they all agreed it was the most gigantic creature they had ever seen. The sea monster remained for some minutes before it vanished in the same mysterious way that it had come. In a bid to understand more about this extraordinary animal, the paper quotes the renowned living naturalist Philip Henry Goss. Goss's own opinion, formed after a mature deliberation of the evidence, was that there were existing still some specimens of a nearly extinct race of sea monster. He concluded that the sea monster seen in Kilkee possessed close affinities with the fossil of an extinct group of marine reptiles known as Ankylosaura. The Day's Doings ends the article by concluding that it is believed it was the first time that one of these strange sea monsters has been seen on the coasts of the British Isles, and much excitement has been caused by its appearance in this particular neighborhood. Our next story comes to us from Blandford, Massachusetts, and involves a potential sighting of the legendary creature Thunderbird. Two water treatment operators claimed that they saw a bird so big that they initially thought it was a plane. Bernie and Noreen St. Martin say that they were patrolling the Long Pond Reservoir in a boat when they noticed the unidentified flying creature in plain daylight. I first noticed what I thought to be two planes, one large jet flying under a smaller plane. Then I realized that the small plane was a bird, said 56-year-old Noreen. At that moment, the woman says she pointed out the oddity to her husband, Bernie, age 64, and that they tried to identify the creature to no avail. Its large wings were flapping. It was very large, had wide wings and a huge wingspan, Noreen added. The couple said they were able to visually follow the bird for 5 to 7 minutes as it flapped its wings flying north. The two water treatment operators did not produce any photographic evidence and have not yet replied to additional press inquiries regarding this matter. But it's suspected that the alleged giant bird could have been flying at an altitude too high for a standard phone camera to be able to capture a clear image without the use of a telephoto lens. And now this is a criticism that's leveled frequently at witnesses of these type of manifestations. Cell phone cameras are good up to a short distance, but not very good at extreme distances, certainly not up in the sky. If they had had a cell phone camera, it would not have produced anything definitive for analysis. The story goes on. It flew overhead, and not once did it ride any thermals. It wasn't anything that we could identify, said the woman. This is the second giant bird sighting reported in a month. Back in July, a 54-year-old IT executive from California reported that he and a relative came upon a similar creature while driving across the Nevada desert on their way to Winnemucca. Back in April, a Louisiana man claimed to have seen a similar flying creature he believes was responsible for cow mutilations back in 1978. Referencing the Thunderbird again, remember that this is the nomenclature used by Native Americans, referring to a bird-like creature with slightly reptilian features believed to be related to the extinct reptile. It's also known as roc in the Middle East and rook in many African countries. So a very interesting story coming out of Massachusetts and additionally related sightings in other parts of the country. Our final story for this episode comes from Homosassa, Florida. A Florida couple are asking for help trying to identify the underwater creature they photographed in Citrus County. Now, if you're following along on YouTube, you will see the accompanying photos. These are the actual photos that were taken by this couple. Jen Carter says that she and her boyfriend were scalloping with friends when they came across the animal in the shallow waters of the Gulf of Mexico. She says, "My boyfriend found this thing. It was way bigger than a normal scallop, and when he went to grab it, part of it came out of the shell." Carter, who submitted the photograph taken by her boyfriend, says that the creature had a, quote, little mouth, and that as it came out of the shell, tried to bite the man. The image shows a long neck creature with an apparent scaleless gray skin. From the angle the picture was taken, no eyes can be seen on its head. The shell, says Carter, was about 8 inches long. The woman says that so far, no one has been able to identify the creature. The Florida Fish and Water Conservation will only say that perhaps it is an invasive species. That concludes this first edition of Crypto Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. and I hope that you tune in for future episodes. Again, please visit our sponsors, Stellium Books at stelliumbooks.com and Awake Newport at awakenewport.com. This is Crypto Talk. I'm your host, Dr. William Lester, and I will see you next time around.